Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Game and we are returning to our Let's Play of War in the West. So, last time around we did loop around the German troops over here in the north of Italy. So, it's going to be very interesting to see what they're going to do, and that is why we are starting this time around with the German ground phase. So let's see what the Germans are going to do and how they are going to react to this development. We've also pushed up a little bit here, but that should be more or less okay. So in between episodes I did one more thing, and that is I have set up all of these corps here, all of these American divisions to belong to the 5th Corps. So let's see whether that is going to be useful in coordinating them a little bit more over there. And one more small thing, I have allocated this couple of smaller range of forces here towards all of these towards all of these naval forces. Right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and end our turn, see what the Germans are going to make out of this, in particular in this area up over here. So this is really what I'm mostly interested in. Can we breach through here and negate the advantage of their fortified lines, or do we need to take the hard way, which is probably going to cost us a lot more casualties? Now before we go into that, we of course do have the German air face over here, so they're going to fly all of their sorties. And it is kind of interesting just how many of these they are flying. I don't actually know where they are flying all of these air combats, and we do need to check on that. We do need to find out whether there's any ability to do that. By the way, you can see all of the areas that we have hit very hard, like the Ruhr. We've hit Cologne pretty hard. We've hit the area here in Cologne and Mainz down there. This is Brandenburg, I think. Then there's the Hanover Yard. Zwickau, I think. And the other stuff. Right, so here we are. Are the Germans doing anything? Are they pulling back? That is one thing that would be very viable, I think, and which I would expect, but I do not know. Oh. Okay. Right, so they are actually attacking over here, and that is kind of interesting. They're attacking quite a couple of units over here, so large parts of the 15th Panzergrenadier Division, a bit of the 94th Infantry Division, and the Fallschirmjäger Division. So 3 divisions against 1 of ours. That is pretty harsh, and they are doing a lot of casualties over here. So that is kind of harsh. I did not expect to lose that much, especially as we had a bit of air superiority over here, I would say. So yeah, actually I did not expect that. Yeah, our combat value did go down a little bit. Theirs went down dramatically, but we were being pushed back at severe casualties, I have to say. So that is unfortunate. And it's also unfortunate because we're losing that terrain over here, and there was kind of interesting for us. Will they push further though? That would be dramatically bad for us, I have to say. Now they are definitely reinforcing this line now, so that is something that we need to be mindful about. I want to find out what's going on over here. Also, they're apparently not pulling back from Naples. That's unfortunate too. Right, let's see about that. Ooh, we've taken so much more losses than they have. Right, and that is especially true for the 6th British Armoured Division over here. Now these guys are not extremely strong, mind you. This is just little bits and pieces of divisions, really. So we could potentially still try to push through over here. They have got the Fallschirmjäger divisions here are pretty strong. Okay, that being said, now is of course the air phase, and that means we do need to think about our air strategy here. I'm going to put in a shortcut here, and then you guys can rejoin me when we've set up everything. So, there we are back, and as you can see, we've got a very special mission set up for today. So there's a very, very deep penetration here by the US Army Air Force. We are gonna go to, not even Germany, but to Vienna, so in Austria, and we're gonna go and try to strike the, let me just show that, the oil factories, or oil yards that they have got down here, and we're going to send 8th Air Force over here with nearly 1,000 bombers. These are B-17s that are not carrying quite the normal loadout. They are carrying a little bit of an auxiliary tank here, so only about 2/3 of the ammunition that they would normally carry, and a couple of B-24s. We are sending in all of these guys, even though some of them have very low or very high fatigue. And the reason for that is, if we look at the weather over here, you can see what we are expecting for this turn, so that there's a lot of rain already. But you can see that this high pressure area here is going to loop around and probably going to bring a lot of heavy rain. So before that comes in, I want to try to strike them, and yeah, that's why we're coming in here with a lot of B-17s. You can see, if we were flying straight from our bases here in England, we'd be flying straight over the Ruhr area with all of its flags. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to loop around here south of Cologne, between Cologne and Koblenz, north of Frankfurt, Schweinfurt, and we're going to make a small dent down here, and then going to come directly to Vienna. So let's see whether that is going to be successful. I do not know yet, but it's certainly going to be interesting. Now, one thing I should actually check it down here is, how does that look down here? So we are going to try to bring in 8 strikes per day, so that's about 100 aircraft or so per day, which, let's see whether that is going to work out. I'm not fully confident, but yeah, we're going to try. And then we've got Royal, the Bomber Command over here, who is going to go into Hamburg. And the idea here is to pretty much primarily strike the U-boat yards. Let's see whether that is going to work out. We've got about 1,000 airplanes set up over here, so yeah, let's see whether that is going to work out. It's going to be one nighttime mission. It's slightly outside of the nighttime navigation aids that we've got. But historically, Hamburg was one of the easiest targets for them because it's just so close to the coast, and the Elbe River is pointing the way quite nicely, so it should be relatively easy for them. I don't know whether it's going to be useful for them. We've got an intruder mission to support that, and just a couple of air superiority missions here to set up the day. But in the Mediterranean, it's going to be a very, very busy day. So let's look at the situation down here. As you can see, the Germans have, of course, pushed us back from over here. You were very much part of that. So let's see whether we can break them. And basically what we see over here, I think, is we can see all of these fortified areas that are sort of in the rear over here. Now, these guys are not typically very strong, but they are dock in. So they have built up some fortified lines over here. They don't really have that many troops in these fortified lines, but they are definitively starting to build something, or they have built something up. And if they were to man these guys here with these positions with troops, I think we'd have an extraordinarily difficult time to break through. So for now, most of their forces seem to be mustered along the front over here. So a little bit in front of their lines, probably gonna try to delay us a little bit. And I think there is a certain chance here, so I don't think we're going to make it through down here. So we've got this very strong point of Naples over here with the Fallschirmjäger division. We've got another division here, another infantry division, and so on and so forth. So there's going to be a very tough area here to fight through. You can see basically this is 33. I don't even know what that is, probably 100 or so. It's too strong to punch through. However, I do think we might have a shot up here. And there's a certain strategy that came to my mind, and that is, if we could punch through over here and just sort of advance along the northeastern coast of Italy up over here, and if we get to Pescara at the very least, you can see all of this area down here is just fed from this one rail line over here from Rome. So basically, there's a bottleneck over here, and if we could break through over here, it would be fantastic, and we could basically cut off all of the supply of all of these guys down here, and they would be forced to pretty much pull back, I believe. So that is what we're going to try. We're going to try to make it through here. I have my doubts whether we will be able to do that with this turn, but as you can see, these guys that are immediately opposing us are actually not that strong. This is just a 1-1 division, this is a 1-2. Really not that strong. The strongest guy is actually this fortified line over here, even though there's no one occupying that. However, these guys might occupy that once they are retreating, if we can break through over here in the first place. And there are a couple of rivers here, so it's not going to be it's not going to be easy, but it just might be possible. So that's what I want to try, and that is what I think our concentration should be. In the meantime, it's probably going to take 1 or 2 turns, or maybe even 2 to 3 turns to break through over here, but if we can pin these guys here in place a little bit, the risk that we'd be attacked here in the flank might be significantly lower. So I think that is something that we might want to do over here. So that is exactly what I've set up then in the airface over here, and you can see it's a hotbed of a mess. So let's walk you through that just one by one. First thing is, we're going to take 12th Bomber Command over here, and they are going to attack this position. So these guys are going to come in with 400 airplanes, mostly Wellingtons and Marauders. Now these guys are carrying heavy ordnance, 1,000-pound bombs to basically obliterate these fortifications, and some even 4,000-pound bombs here on the Wellingtons. Now, I wonder whether, 500-pound bombs shouldn't be a little bit better. Let's put some of these guys here on 500-pound bombs. I think this is a little bit more conservative, but I do really, really want to break through there, so it would be fantastic if we could make it. So that'd be fantastic. Let's just briefly check. Yeah, you're going to try to attack the unit up there, and you're going to try to sort of cross in front of their line, otherwise you'd be just passing over everything. I do want you to strike exactly that unit. Right, so that's up over here. Then we've got our single engine bombers over here, which we've moved up a little bit over here to Toronto, and you guys are primarily going to try to increase the interdiction value here on this area, so that these guys cannot move out so easily. And one thing I did over here is, this is about 200 planes. It's not that much, but at least it's a little bit. So let's see whether that is going to work out. I've put these guys here on altitude 1,000 feet, so very low. Let's see whether they're going to be more able to do anything over there. Then we've got a little bit of direct ground support here. You know what? You guys might actually go ahead, and one of you guys here should actually change up your ammo to the 44mm cannons. So that would be a very nice anti-tank mission. And I do think there are some potential anti-tank missions that are up there. But I also realized that your range really just doesn't do the job, does it? Okay, where are Desert Air? Okay, Desert Air Force, that's all of you guys. You're mostly based down here, so why are you actually even up there? Okay, let's get all of you guys over here and advance you somewhat. Okay, let's get over there at least. So hopefully that is going to be a little bit more capable for you. Let's see whether that's really going to work out. I don't know. Right. Yeah, you're supporting that anyway, so you'll be supporting the direct attacks there, and that's fine. Now we've got just an air superiority mission here. I don't think this is going to be too useful. You know what, we can actually reduce the area over here just a little bit so that the overlap is not quite as high. But yeah, we're going to try to intercept any Germans that are going to interfere here, and that's alright. Now, remember, we are trying to cut their air line here with troops advancing. Up over here, I've got another mission here by 12th Bomber Command, so this is by other airplanes in there, and that is mostly by the Mitchells and one Boston that we've thrown in there. And these guys, their main job here is to use a lot of smaller bombs to disrupt the rail lines, basically, and a little bit the rail infrastructure in Roma itself, so the rail yard there, but mostly just the rail lines going in and coming out of Rome, so that ultimately, hopefully, there's going to be a lot less supply that is going to flow through the front here, to the front. Right, we've got a couple of naval missions. I think these guys are all fine. You know what? I think I would like you a little bit further to the north here, so that you can potentially also enable us to land here behind Rome, should that become necessary. We're of course preparing stuff there, but it's not that big a deal. And then we've got the Strategic Air Force in the south, so B-17s, B-24s. These guys are going to try to disrupt their ports over here, so that maybe we can do a little bit more on Corsica. We're going to see. Right, so without further ado, let's execute all of these air directives and see what's going to happen over here. I expect we're going to take a lot of losses in this turn, simply because we're extremely aggressive both in the south and in northern Europe, mostly partially due to the weather and secondarily due to the fact that we hope, at least, that we can force a breakthrough there on the right front on our right front, on the left front, left side of the Germans. So yeah, you can see basically this fort there was basically reduced to rubble, and that is definitely nice to see. Yeah, we might have overdone it a little bit, but it's definitely very, very nice to see that we are doing so much damage over there. Right, so you know what, let's actually check stuff on the map for the first time over here. So yeah, basically losses up over here are very limited. We are taking some losses here in the attack on these units, 14 planes. That's okay, I think. 31 losses against the interdiction here, that's sort of to be expected. They were coming in extremely low. Very light losses here on the naval side. 5 losses up over here, that's not quite as great, but that's okay, I suppose. And up over here on our strike against Vienna, 45 losses, sort of to be expected. It was a very deep mission that was unescorted for a long time. And 34 against Hamburg. Oh, quite a couple of losses here in the air sorties over the Netherlands. Right, okay, let's check out things then. Okay, so let's start out by, as we always do, by Bomber Command, by the US Army Air Force here. So the oil infrastructure was hit relatively heavily, I would say. It's sort of a middle of the line approach. But yeah, that's about 30, 40%, 50, 60. Let's call that 60% on the 10 oil here and 40% on the 8. So I think that's fine. We did take 40 losses. We did incur 40 losses on the Germans. So honestly, I think that's pretty fine. I mean, that's a loss ratio that I'm going to take any day. How about the recon? Yeah, just a single recon craft loss there. Not a big deal. Bomber Command, you were taking 33 losses for only 8 on the German side, so that's not quite as great. We did hit the U-boat yards, but it doesn't seem to be very high damage here. But overall, it just might pile up a little bit. Honestly, I'm struggling to call this a win. We are halfway doing the damage that we want to do. We are taking some losses. We are causing some losses on their side. Not a great result, honestly. Right, the Air Intruder mission, you guys are doing relatively fine. 2 lost on our side this time around, but a couple of 7 shot down on their side. It's a small scale effort. And then we've got the air superiority over here. A couple of you guys were apparently flying in right into... I think this must be going to the Vienna mission, right? So I'm not sure what that is about. But yeah, at the very least... I mean, we are taking 14 losses here, but we're only shooting down 1. But I think that does count a little bit towards some of the other missions as well. The strict air-to-air combat only here, there was only 1 real mission over there. And this is number 12 group. Okay, so just a single interdiction over here with 16 on their side, 4 hours. And it's a little bit disheartening to see that we're actually taking some losses there, but that might also be some just weird overlap. Right, number 10th air group. No, number 12 did also execute some stuff, right? Yeah, you guys, 23 losses on our side, 16 on their side. It's an okay ratio. I don't think we're going to be proud of that, but if we're bringing down the German pilots, you know, that's fine. They're going to have a hard time to replace these losses. Right, so Strategic Air Force, you guys were bombing Corsica and the ports over there, apparently with no opposition whatsoever. And you are doing a fair amount of damage here, so yeah, I think that's great. Just a couple of probably operational losses or flak. But yeah, all in all pretty great. Couple of recon aircraft loss, that's not nice, but I think unavoidable. So basically that's pretty nice. So let's actually look at Bomber Command over here. So you guys were doing ground attack here against this unit, against this fortified line. And we're actually doing some damage here, some real damage against these units, which I had not expected. I would have expected you guys to actually be mostly disrupted, which still would be very much what we are aiming for. Yeah, you guys are mostly disrupted, including your labor forces and your rifle forces, Panzertrex. So it's kind of interesting because I'm not sure how many of your ground units are still around. It doesn't really tell us how many of you guys are still around. That's unfortunate, but yeah, nevertheless, we did do a lot of good damage there, so I'm happy about that. How about the attacks on the rail yards then? A little bit further to the north. What on earth happened here? So we did stumble into a group of... Really? We've got the Germans flying missions over England? Is that what we're seeing over here? It's definitely the Germans flying missions over England. I don't understand. Right, that's not a big deal for us right now, but it's certainly very interesting to see. Right, so let's ignore that one battle over here. I think this is just a weird way that it has been compiled. But still, all in all, we are doing a lot of damage here against the rail infrastructure, so that's very, very nice. So basically, the rail use goes up very significantly, and that I am very happy about. Now, these strikes here against the interdiction level, they're not going up as much as I would have hoped. And we are losing quite a couple of airplanes here in the process. What are we losing them to? Probably ops losses. Yeah, as you're flying in very low, you are doing a little bit of damage here, but it's not that much. And the interdiction value, I mean, it's a lot of strikes that are happening in this area here, but were they successful? I do not know. Right, so what we've got now then is we've achieved a very strong strike against this position here. It is fairly weakened, so That does leave the position of these two guys that are still around. And we could break through over here. I think these guys here would be basically pushed back immediately because they're at a 0. We've got these guys here. They are still kind of strong, but not as strong as we would have otherwise fear. So that's fine. There's a lot of disruption going on over here. And the southern position, of course, is more or less unchanged. Right, so I think what we can do then is let us push up over here with you guys, and this division here is going to come up towards over here, and then we're going to take both of these guys and we're going to do a deliberate attack over here, which does cause them to retreat at significant losses and very insignificant losses for us. So yeah, I think that's very nice indeed, and it does reduce their capabilities for waging war further, so that's very nice. Cannot push you guys on a... and I cannot do another deliberate attack. I can basically only get you guys over here and sort of try to do an immediate attack, a hasty attack with both of you. And that does cause you to retreat, but now we are a little bit in an awkward position because you could try to push up down here, and that would actually cause you to go into the hex of the headquarter unit here, which certainly is not what we wish for. Right, but I think they will be pretty much out of movement or anything. Yeah, they should not have really much left in them. So that's okay. Right, down here, you guys are still on the ships. I still cannot disembark you. That's really awkward. Okay, fine. We've got some units down here. I don't think we want to do a direct attack here on these guys. They have very good fort levels. I would rather finish off these guys than bring them down. It's going to take a while, but I think eventually we'll be fine up over there. Right, then down here, everything is fine. You guys are just preparing for your naval invasions, but you're really not that far in, so 23%. There is some stuff to be done. So that does mean we want to push up over here. And we've got the 30th Corps, which is close enough to support these guys. These tanks are a little bit awkward because they are in position to fight these guys already, but we would actually like the other guys to move through first and attack first. So that is a bit of an issue, and we can't really solve that right now. How far are the Americans off here? So they could not really get all the way here, so that's okay. Then we've got 13th Corps down here. You guys are... the idea here was to go and advance towards Naples, but probably we'll need to be a little bit more subtle about that. You know what? Let's actually start with you guys down here. So I think you guys are fine to advance over here. I cannot imagine they're going to try to break out in this direction. That would be really weird. Right, and then you guys cannot make it through over there, so that's somewhat unfortunate, but you can make your way a little bit to the north end. I think that might not be the worst idea, to start and threaten their flank there a little bit. So that is going to be alright. And then you guys can actually make it around over there, so that's nice. And you guys can make it over here, so that we're sort of encircling them. And I think that's a fairly nice move towards over there. Right, let's move you into contact over here. And that basically settles that front kind of nicely, I think. Right, in Salerno we are repairing the port. Yeah, but not at priority. I think that's fine. I think we're still going to be able to trace enough supplies from here. Right, so then let's get to the actual fight over here. Right, so you guys could get into here and sort of block these guys from moving up any further, but you're also kind of strong at 13 attack value. So I would actually like to get you over here. Let's try and hasty attack on these guys. They are retreating, that's nice. We are taking some losses here, but all in all I'm going to be fine if that is going to be the result for that battle. So the next thing that we need to do is try to drive these guys off and then sort of try to punch through there, but it's going to be tough. Right, there's a lot of zone of control here, and could you actually attack deliberately? You could. Right, let's try to get two of you guys into there. Have we got any combat unit down here? Yeah, we've got the Canadians. The Canadians are actually pretty nice units. And you would have a lot of movement points, whereas you would only have 6. It's not a big deal. Okay, so let's grab these two guys. And let's actually try to do a deliberate attack here across the water on this unit. And that too is retreating. That's nice. That's very, very good. How about the fort level over here? No, we haven't reduced that. Fine though. Okay. So far we're doing good. We're more or less on plan over here. Now, how do we want to proceed? Now, of course, I would like to move the tanks to exploit that. So probably the tanks are going to move last. So that does very likely mean to move up the Canadians, so that the Canadians can start to push up against these guys. Right, okay, that's fine. Can you do a deliberate attack? You could. I do think you have potentially enough combat strength to overwhelm them here, so let's actually try to do that. Let's do a deliberate attack over here, and this is the big one. And it does work! Yes! Very nice. I mean, 200 losses. Hefty. But we have broken through that fort level there, so that is fairly nice. And honestly, the flank over here just doesn't look too bad to me either. So that is fairly nice. Now you guys would have some problems to push through there. So that is a big deal. But can we push through? We could push through here, but it would take us a lot of movement points. And that's mainly due to these guys here, which basically exert a zone of control, and that does mean moving from here to here is going to be very, very costly. So ideally we'll try to move these guys out. Now these guys don't have any movement points. We've got these tanks here. You could do a 12. We've got the American tanks, of course, as well. You have 21, so you could actually break through there. Right, okay, let's bring over the tanks. The 6th British Armoured Division. You can move into here, and you can only do a hasty attack, so let's do that hasty attack. And they are surrendering and retreating because one of them was beaten already. So that is incredibly nice, because that now allows us to push up much further over here. And we are making very good progress, I have to say. Right, can we get you into here? We can. That is fairly nice. Now these guys here down there, I don't think we're going to be able to beat them, but we don't need to. We only need to... Well, that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to push both of you forward. I cannot undo that, can I? Damn it. Okay, fine. Right, so you guys, can you actually go back? You could. Okay, so that's not that big a deal. Right, let's pick the first... Okay, let's move... Let's take the first US Armored Division over here and try to do a hasty attack across this river. Now that, I think, is going to be much tougher because it's across the river. These guys have not bombed into oblivion, but still, we are making good progress here, so that's nice. Could you make it through over there? No, you could not. It's because you're crossing the river. There's a zone of control issues, so... That's basically a no-no. You couldn't make it through there either. You can't make it all that way either. So basically, that is probably going to be as far as we can go. We could try to attack this fort here. They were being scouted, so really hefty casualties here on our side. So basically, that is probably going to be it, right? We could send you with a 16. You'd be having a 21. Right, okay, let's be aggressive over here. Let's send over these guys and try to do another attack over here. They are holding out, and that basically does mean we cannot advance through there. We could do another attack. Let's do another attack. They're holding. Okay, that is basically the extent to where we can go. So let's make sure that we're going to try to save our flanks over here from being overrun. So let's first up send the Americans, I think, all that way over here, so that we are sort of locking these guys in a little bit. I know there is a bit of a gap here, but I think it's going to be alright. Now these guys are potentially... I mean, we have seen the Germans advance very aggressively in the past, so they might try to break through over here. And there's only a limited amount of stuff that we can do against that. I don't think I want to have this position any weaker than it currently is. But these tanks over here are actually... These guys are capable, if we could push them forward a little bit. I think that would be fantastic, because these guys here would be having a much tougher time to withdraw or bring any sort of meaningful stuff forward. That does mean you guys can potentially move up all the way over here. Ensure that these paratroopers don't have an easy time moving out. You might have some trouble there, but I think you could be alright. Right, let's move the Corps Commander into there so that we have that sort of set up kind of nicely. Why can't you break through there? Such a shame, such a shame. I can't move you back or anything. I could do a deliberate, a hasty attack down there, but that is just definitively asking for trouble. So, oh, also there's this core over here. You know what? If we move you back, could I then move you through there? No, I could not. I could move you into there, but that's about it. Right, so you know what? In that case, let's move this tank forward to this direction here, so that we are having these guys here in zone of control that they would have a lot harder time to basically pull out. So, or to make it easier for them to basically rush through there. Now, up over here, I'm slightly concerned about the Solano position, but actually we do have a port over here, so we will be able to trace some supplies from this direction. And I think that would be kind of nice, wouldn't it? Well, I think you guys are going to hold out. I hope you guys are gonna, but again, with all of these troops around over here, they are going to have a tough time to move in. These guys might be in trouble a little bit, and there is some concern here. But I think all in all, we're doing fantastically fine. So let's briefly actually check. I think it's number 9? Control 9? Yeah, so these guys here are our railway repair guys. So we are building up our rail line from there, and we are building, I think, a line here towards Toronto. So let's actually make sure that we are getting that up to that harbour. That would be actually kind of nice. And then the question is, do we want to loop around this way or that way? I think this way here is a little bit better, so let's move back over there and then hope that we can build the line that way. And then you guys up over here. Now again, I'm very concerned about them breaking through there, but we do need to bring up supplies if we are not gonna fall basically to some sort of very, very awkward move over there. So let's try to do that. Let's bring you up until over here. They might try to push through here, but honestly I think that's fine, and we do have a functional railway line then, at least from this Port of Bari, which is a very high port and which we are repairing all the way up over here. And is there some port line? Yeah, so let's actually make sure that this here is understood to be priority number 4. No, 4, not 0. Ah, that's because I'm just... Right, there we go. 4. There we go. So yeah, there should be a lot of supplies over here that we are pushing it forward, and that would be fantastic. Right now there's basically nothing in there, so it's just the way it is. Right, and this is all being repaired and everything down here. This is just a couple of army headquarters, so I'm going to move these guys around in between episodes. But yeah, you know, I'm very excited about that, and I'm very, very frightened whether they're going to try to break through. They might very well try to, and we couldn't completely stop them. Especially this position down here looks a little bit weak. But my oh my, if we can break through over here, that would be fantastic. I think they're going to pull back. If I was them, I think the prudent thing is to pull back. But you know what? The Germans in 1943 were fighting a lost war, and they were nothing but prudent, and not very prudent actually. So yeah, let's see about that. I hope you guys are going to rejoin me next time around, and I'm going to show you the German moves then. So, hope to see you then, and do leave a like and all of that, and let me know what you think about our maneuver here. Is it too risky? Are we overextending ourselves? I don't know. I don't know. I really want to know your opinion on that. Bye-bye, guys.